I don't want to set the world on fire.
Hey everyone, this is Violet Irwin. So in today's car confessional, I want to talk about immigration. And the reason I want to talk about immigration is because this is an issue where, as a libertarian, I am actually not sure where to stand. Genuinely, I'm not sure where to stand. Because I can see arguments, even from the extremes of both sides, libertarian arguments as well. And I also see arguments for the moderates. But I don't really feel like any of those really resonate with me entirely. And so I'm not entirely sure what to do. So what I'm going to do in this car confessional is to talk about the three big approaches to immigration that I hear, and the things that I see that are good about them, and the things that I personally think kind of make the problem, or make the theories flawed. Or make the solutions flawed, I guess would be a better way to put it. So, here's the three solutions that I often hear to the immigration issue, because I do think it's an issue, and I'll make a video about migration and, you know, populations and all that stuff, because it's fascinating how populations are changing, and I don't think it's necessarily for the better. So I'll make a video about that too. But for today, I'm just talking about solutions to the immigration problem that the West is facing, and their pros and cons, as it were. So the first is kind of the, sorry ANCAP friends, I love you guys, but the crazy ANCAP view that we should just have a completely open border society, right? That like nations shouldn't exist at all because we have freedom of movement and yada yada yada. The second one, which I will call the moderate approach, is that we need some kind of screening system where all these people who are coming in are like properly vetted, and we just deport the illegal ones, but keep the people who like actually have a right to be here, and we have some kind of, you know, system wherein people who are really talented can come, and then people who maybe aren't so talented might not get their visas or get citizenship or whatever, and all that. And then the third, which is kind of the more liberty hangout, weird, like ultra-right libertarian groups that have come out, which I really don't, like, I get part of it, but I don't get all of it. So I'll have to make a video specifically about that too. But their solution is just build the wall and, you know, deport everyone that you can find that's legal, and, you know, that's kind of their solution. Just deport everyone, like, kind of America's full, and that's it. So those are the three. Now the first one, the ANCAP view, the problem I have with that is that if we're going to have a nation founded on principles, we still have to have a nation, okay? And there's certain definitions of a nation in order to be acknowledged as a nation by the rest of the world. And it's not like, oh, just some book says that. It's just realistically, there are certain characteristics that an entity has to have to be a nation. And one of those things is borders. You can't be a nation without borders. It's just not a thing. And if ANCAPs want to say, well, America, we should just abolish our government and not even be a nation, well, then we're just nothing, and we're going to get overtaken by people who do believe in nationalism and who will turn this great, beautiful land that we live in into a nation. Someone is going to appropriate this land into a nation because people understand property rights, and if ANCAPs are not going to support property rights at all, then that's a problem, because it's not a libertarian idea. If you don't have the right to exclude from your nation, then it is not a libertarian nation. So that's the problem I have with the open border policy. Now the moderate policy, which is like, oh, well, we'll just kind of find people who commit crimes that are here illegal and deport them, and then we'll like have a better vetting process. Here's the problem with that. The vetting process is almost impossible for most of these countries. Like, America, we've got this crazy spy authoritarian government that, you know, if someone scans our driver's license, they can find out everything that we've done in our whole lives, right? But these other governments are not in those positions, and, you know, it's not like if we get an ID from someone from Somalia that we can really know who that individual is. There's just no way to know. So the vetting process on an individual basis, while personally that sounds the best to me, practically speaking, I just don't know that it will work that well. And here's the problem I have with the, well, we'll just deport the people who are here committing crimes. There's so many stories about people who get deported and then just come back and commit more crimes. Like, they just come right back. So something's a problem there. I do think at minimum we've got to have a way to prohibit people who've already been deported from returning back to the United States, especially if it's like a flight situation. No one should be flying into the United States if they've already been deported. If they're crossing the border illegally and like running in somehow, then that's kind of a different issue, you know. But there should never be a situation where people are flying back into the United States when they've already been deported for committing a crime and being here illegally. So that's the moderate view. Now, the third view is kind of the build a wall, you know, Trumpian view. And here's the problem I have with a wall, okay? The United States federal government is in an amount of debt that is like startling, okay? It takes my breath away when I look at that death clock. Like, I just think about my children to be born still. I don't have children yet, but my future children and grandchildren. Like, I am just devastated by the amount of debt that my poor, you know, offspring are gonna have to face, and I'm gonna have to face, quite frankly. And to me, to build a wall would incentivize the federal government to an extreme degree to keep Americans in, okay? Because right now, things are relatively hunky-dory in America compared to most of the world. But when we have systematic economic collapse, which is coming, okay? I can make some videos about that too. But systematic economic collapse, you know, dollar failure, all this stuff, the Fed gov's gonna be trying to keep Americans in here, and you don't want a wall for that. I actually have come to agree that I do think a wall would improve the flow of migrants, like, in. Like, people who want to say, oh, a wall won't work, that's stupid. Why do like rich celebrities live in gated communities? Because it's hard to get over a wall. It is. It's not easy, right? So that's not the problem I have with it. I more have a problem with how that wall will be used against American citizens, because we see our government time and time again uses things that it says that it's going to use to keep us safe to then harass us, you know, and to rob us of the very rights that they said that they were trying to protect in, you know, constructing whatever new bureaucracy or entity they want. So I don't trust the federal government with a wall at all. I don't like the amount of eminent domain takings that would have to occur in order to facilitate building a wall. I don't like that. And moreover, America's not China, you know? We don't need to have a wall. We're not the kind of culture that just walls people out, okay? We do let people come into this country. Now, here's the thing. I do think that if people are caught here illegally, they need to be deported, but they just can't come back in. I don't know why people are coming back in, but they can't come back in. And here's the other thing about the wall, and about that as a solution to our immigration problems. If we turned off the welfare spigots, we would not have this many migrants coming over here. We wouldn't have this many Mexicans, nor would we have this many jihadi type Islamist types, okay? Because the only reason that the Mexicans and the jihadists can get away with any of the bullshit that Ann Coulter's pissed off about, and rightly so. I mean, her book Adios America makes some good points. You know, if she, like, if we're concerned about the immigration problem, we need to turn off the economic situation that facilitates them to do what they're doing, okay? Because if these people had to come here and actually get a damn job and actually pay their own fucking rent and buy their own food and get their own damn cell phone, sorry. Whew, take a step back. If these people coming in actually had to make a life for themselves here, they would learn the American way, okay? The assimilation factor would be much better if we didn't have all these welfare programs. Not to mention, you know, all of the moral, ethical, economic issues with the welfare state. But, I mean, here's some common ground with you leftists. How about we just get rid of the welfare state for all the immigrants who are coming here illegally and or coming here and have only been here for like a year, okay? Maybe we can say no welfare benefits till you've been living in the United States for at least 5 years as a citizen. And then you can get some welfare, okay? There's my common ground. Personally, I'd abolish the entire welfare state. But at least for the sake of the immigration migrant problem, can we cut that spigot off? I just feel like that should be common ground, right? Like, cut off the spigot to the people who are here illegally, the people who vow the destruction of America, and the people who, you know, just got here, who are trying to just like suck on the teat of the American taxpayer. Like, no, put some limitations on that shit. I have some solutions now that I'm thinking about it, right? Because my solutions lie in some of the problems that I have with these other 3 solutions. So my biggest thing is we need to focus on making sure that once people are deported for committing crimes or being here illegally, that they don't come back. And we need to turn off the welfare spigots for anyone who's here illegally, anyone who has ever vowed, you know, to commit like treason against the United States. And I'm not talking like, oh, I don't like our government. More like, I'm going to commit terrorist acts against the United States. Turn off the spigots for people like that. And, you know, if we turn off the welfare state, these people will have to become a part of American society. And the West has so much to offer that if we can actually get immigrants to assimilate, that is the goal. Because I don't care what skin color you are or what country you came from. If you want to be an American and you care about the American dream and entrepreneurship and capitalism and, you know, the property rights that I've talked about on my little channel here, if you care about those things, then you should be an American and you can come to America. If you want to work hard, if you want to follow your dreams, and if you want to live in a free nation, then we want you to be here. But if you want to come here and make our country some socialist, Marxist, utopia bullshit, you know, I don't really want you here, I gotta be honest. If you want to come here and you want to make America an Islamic state, not a big fan of that either, gotta say. Not a big fan of that. You can go ahead and go back to whatever bullshit Islamic state you came from, okay? So, and or if you want to just come here and just want to use the hard work and the work ethic of the American taxpayer to support your bumming out lifestyle, this is not the country for you either. This is a country of rugged individuals who want to make their lives the best they can possibly make them. And we understand that to make our lives the best we can make them, we can only do that by having a free country where we can pursue our individual dreams. And with that, I will end my musings on immigration. It is a tough topic, I have to say. I very much agree with Douglas Murray's comment that what we're facing is a battle between 2 moral virtues. One is mercy and the other is justice. And it's true because, you know, there's people around the world who are suffering horribly and horrible tyrannic regimes. There are women being oppressed in ways that when I think about the way that women are treated in some of these Islamic states, I just want to vomit. And, you know, there are places, financially speaking, where, you know, the kind of luxuries that I have as someone who's a struggling entrepreneur at the moment. You know, like, I live a kind of luxurious life that most of the population just has no idea about, you know. Like, I want to help these people around the world, and I want to bring them in, you know. I have that merciful spirit, and I even understand, more so than a lot of the people on the right, this argument that America is partially responsible for creating all these refugees. I mean, we've been bombing the crap out of the Middle East for like 20 years. I mean, we've been bombing the crap out of the Middle East since I was in 7th grade. And we were bombing them even before that, but people just weren't talking about it as much because 9/11 hadn't happened. But I mean, certainly since, for the last 16 years, we've been bombing the crap out of the Middle East. And, you know, I see these pictures of these, you know, families in Aleppo and Syria and, you know, other, you know, various countries in the Middle East, Yemen, and, I mean, Saudi Arabia. Don't even get me started on them. It's really the people who destroyed Yemen. But you know, I even understand this argument that the West is partially responsible for the destruction of the Middle East. But here's the thing, that doesn't mean that we get to sacrifice the American people on the altar of mercy. We will not give up American freedom to facilitate, you know, bringing in the entire third world. We just can't do it, because the American people deserve to have a place where we can live and where we can have our country. We founded a nation on principles and a rule of law, and we are a nation of families and communities that deserves to have it's not about deserving even. We have property rights in this country, and we get to decide how this country is run and how this country operates. And, you know, if we think that massive migration poses a threat to our way of life and our culture, then we have every right to exclude, you know, massive groups of individuals trying to come into our country. Like, this is our property. And did we take it from the Native Americans? I don't know. That's kind of, I mean, that's a whole video I can do as well, but they hadn't really appropriated the land. They hadn't made it their own. The settlers made America what it is today. It is our land, and the peoples who live here and the citizens who live here have property rights in it, and we have a right to justice. We have a right to have the rule of law in this land that we founded, and on these, you know, plains and mountains and lakes and fields that we have appropriated for our use. Like, this is ours. So, and justice requires that we get to do with our land what we want. So, you know, this is a really tough issue. I'm terrified by the Islamists. Oh God. I am terrified by the Islamization of America, and especially of Europe. But I also, you know, like, there's people like Ayaan Hirsi Ali and people like Brigitte Gabriel, you know, and I mean, God saw it, not to America, but there are people coming from these countries who truly believe in Western values, and we can't just shut them all out. We can't shut them all out. So we have got to find a way where we can balance justice and mercy here. And I don't know how we're gonna do it, but it's not with a wall, and it's not with open borders, that's for damn sure. And, you know, all of these, like, oh, we'll just kind of practical, like, little work around the edges, I don't think that's gonna work. We've got to find a philosophical place, a philosophical middle between a wall and no borders to be. And I mean, that's really kind of the whole battle between left and right anyway, is no borders and a wall. So I really appreciate everyone listening to this video. I know I get a little bit ranty, especially when I'm in the car. It's hard to not. But I really appreciate you watching. Please click to subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I just want to start a flame in your heart.